we have a Week 1 depth chart. Iowa football releasing its depth chart for the South Dakota State home opener, and we'll talk about it, compare it to the depth chart we received preseason before fall camp. Plus, how important are these releases, these depth charts? Are they really as meaningless as Kirk Ferentz makes them out to be? My take may surprise you. We'll get to that in a moment, but first I want to talk about Ascent Nutrition. Their amazing mold and mycotoxin-free coffee. This company, folks, Ascent Nutrition, is owned by a former Hawkeye. Lance Shuttler graduated from the University of Iowa, grew up right here in the state of Iowa. He is selling some great stuff. This is mold, mycotoxin, and pesticide-free stuff. Premium, great tasting, great smelling. Visit goascentnutrition.com. We've upped the promo code to 15% off. Use the code Hawkeyes for 15% off your total order. Also, want to thank Randy Engel, Under the Kitchen down in Mitchellville. He'll be at Fry Fest this coming Friday. Check out his booth. Great Hawkeye prints, original, authentic prints. You're not only supporting him, you're supporting some U of I athletes that are teamed up with Randy Engel, courtesy of Name, Image, and Likeness. Let's get to our video for today. The depth chart being released around noon on this Monday, and not many surprises. Let's take a look at the depth chart, and we'll kind of compare it to the original depth chart. I'll kind of walk you through this. As you can see there at the top, you've got Keegan Johnson listed, which is good news because we know he missed a lot of the spring, summer, and certainly part of fall camp. You hope he's 100%. He is listed as your starting wide receiver. Alec Wick, once again, listed as his backup. We know at the other wide receiver spot, if you slide down, Arlen Bruce, the fourth, is now a starter. Nico Reganey out. Had reported that on this channel a couple of weeks back, or maybe about a week ago, that he was out with a foot injury. It had been reported by a couple others as well. And so that's going to be interesting to follow. Will he be back for the Iowa State game? Some reports out there that he could miss 2 weeks. You hope he can be back, but certainly you want him healthy for October when the gauntlet really begins. But he is not on the depth chart. So Jack Johnson, walk-on Jack Johnson from West Des Moines, is listed as your backup there. So no Brody Breck, no Jacob Bostic. We know Deontay Vines is out as well. So they got a couple walk-ons on here. We'll see if that translates into actual snaps. Tight end, you see Sam Laporta, Luke Lachey, Addison Estringa had a good fall camp. I expect Stylianos to have a shot as well to get some time. No real changes in the starting spots on the offensive line, which is intriguing because we kept getting word that Jennings Dunker was performing really well at right guard. Connor Colby had slid out to the right. Is Dunker healthy right now? We don't know that. Richmond is listed as your starting left tackle. You've got Ellsbury as your starting left guard. Logan Jones, your center. Connor Colby's back at right guard. And now Jack Plum is your starting right tackle. And no real surprise there other than the fact that I really thought that Colby would supplant Plum and they'd like him outside. So whatever the reason may be, I'm just speculating on this, but could Dunker be down right now and they're just more comfortable with Plum at right tackle than someone else at right guard? I guess that's possible. The one real noteworthy item here, and I talked about it on the podcast that we released earlier today, Jack Plum is also listed as your backup left tackle. No David Cobb. Don't believe he's with the team right now. Don't know if that's permanent. Unfortunate. Regardless, it's unfortunate because he was listed as your backup left tackle in the preseason. We see Matt Fagan is listed as your backup left guard, and Michael Mazlinski, your backup center. Bo Stevens, your backup right guard. And Nick Young is on here as well. We know he struggled at right tackle last year, but did play quite a bit. Spencer's your number one guy at quarterback. Spencer Petras is your guy. We've been talking about that for months. I've never backed down from that opinion that he would end up being your starter, whether you like it or not. Alex Padilla is your backup. Gavin and LaShawn Williams, your two running backs listed. I thought maybe we'd get a glimpse of Caleb Johnson, but then I reminded myself this is a Kirk Ferentz depth chart. He really doesn't like to list true freshmen, and I do believe that's true. I really do believe that's true, even if they were deserving. I just don't think he likes to do that. I mean, that sounds bad. I'm not trying to knock him, but that's just reputation here. Fullback, Monty Pottebaum, Turner Palisard backing him up. No change on the depth chart at kicker. I still think Drew Stevens will eventually win that job, but as of right now, Blom is listed as your starting kicker. I do believe Drew Stevens will take care of kickoffs. On defense, John Wagner, Ethan Herkett, his backup, Noah Shannon, Lucas Van Ness, although we know Van Ness played a lot outside during fall camp. I expect him to be all over the field, both outside and inside. Logan Lee and Y.A. Black, no changes there. Both guys had a good fall camp. Joe Evans, Deontay Craig appear to be healthy. That line, defensive line, has stayed healthy, and it is deep. At linebacker, you've got Justin Jacobs, Jack Campbell, Seth Benson being backed up by the likes of Jay Higgins, Kyler Fisher. We know Cooper DeJean will come in at cash when they have the cash package out there. And also Cooper DeJean, if you slide down to the left corner, because Jamari Harris is suspended for a game, Terry Roberts is pretty much automatically the starter there at left corner. Cooper DeJean listed as your backup left corner. He was previously listed as your backup strong safety. So Cooper DeJean, certainly an intriguing guy on the back end of that defense. Kayvon Merriweather listed as your starting strong safety. Now Sebastian Castro backing him up, Quinn Schulte and Reggie Bracey. Yes, there's no Xavier Wampa. We'll get to that in a second. Riley Moss, Brennan Diaz-Fernandez, Torrey Taylor is your punter, as you well know. Luke Elkin as your specialist. And kick return, punt return, holder, not listed. Interesting. Still not listing a kick returner, a punt returner, or a holder. So what to make of the depth chart and some of the changes? Mentioned David Cobb. It's unfortunate. Hopefully we'll get some updates from Kirk Ferentz tomorrow at the media availability at his press conference. You hope that David Cobb, he's okay health-wise, and will he eventually rejoin the team? I'm not hearing anything positive on that front, but I certainly am not in the know on the situation with David Cobb. Obviously, I think the number one reaction I got from some people earlier today on social media, where is Xavier Wampa? Where is Caleb Johnson? Look, I thought for a second, I guess I fooled myself. I thought for a second maybe those guys would end up on the depth chart. Drew Stevens is the only true freshman on the depth chart. I certainly think he'll play a lot. I don't know if he'll be an every down guy all year, but boy, 5-star kid who I don't think you're going to be able to hang on to for more than 3-4 years tops. He's certainly not going to be here for 5 years. So he's going to play. He's not going to redshirt. That will be intriguing, but I wouldn't read too far into the fact that Xavier Wampa is not listed. I would say the same thing about Caleb Johnson. You only got 2 guys on the depth chart at running back, and I think Jazzy Patterson and Caleb Johnson both have a chance to play. Is there concern right now at wide receiver? Yes. Do I think Jack Johnson's really your 4th guy? No, I don't, but I have not seen Jack Johnson extensively. I would like to think that Jacob Bostic, even though he's a true freshman, Brody Brecht as a scholarship wide receiver, one of those guys could emerge to assist. I mean, if you have 2 walk-ons in your top 4 at wide receiver, that's great. Those guys are working hard. That's a concern right now. No offense to Jack Johnson or Alec Wick, and both those guys, good athletes in high school, Iowa guys. You just hope that Nico Reganey can get back. You hope Keegan Johnson is healthy. Man alive, if Keegan Johnson's not healthy, I mean, they are not going to have much of anything at wide receiver. Certainly Arlen Bruce, his health, I've talked about this, is of utmost importance. But overall, I mean, this is about what you expect. I think the one positive to take away from this depth chart release is there's not any indication of vast injuries that took place during fall camp. Like you look throughout the offensive line, besides David Cobb and Dunker, who's not listed, you look through the offensive line, looks like guys are healthy. We'll see what Kirk says tomorrow. And you'll go through the defensive line. There's nobody missing on the defensive line. And I think Aaron Graves will play. I think Louis Steck will play, and maybe even Chris Reams. I've talked about that. And your star guys are healthy. Jack Campbell, Torrey Taylor. Certainly having a guy like Sam Laporta healthy is huge. It appears those guys are in good health, and you never know during fall camp. So the little bit of attrition Iowa did suffer was at wide receiver, and then some at offensive line, which certainly slows down development, but it looks like they're rounding into health. Mason Richmond listed as your starting left tackle, which is huge because he missed quite a bit of fall camp. We'll talk to you tomorrow after Kirk Ferentz talks to the media. And of course, we've got an Iowa live show with the one and only Mark Rogers over at the Voice of College Football. If you've not already done so, subscribe over there and check out the show, live show at 4:30 p.m. Central Time over at Iowa Football at the Voice of College Football. We're counting down the days, now counting down the hours to Iowa, South Dakota State. And we know post-game show following that game. If you want to sponsor the show, reach out to me from the Eye of the Storm at Outlook.com. That's from the Eye of the Storm at Outlook.com to sponsor our post-game show with the one and only Coach Don Patterson.